It's time to rethink everything you know about starting a clothing brand. The gurus tell you to design a product, post some videos to TikTok, and boom, you sell out. But the reality is that this leaves most brand owners broke and stuck. And I know this because I've spent more than 600 hours coaching you guys. So to stop that happening to you, today I'm going to show you a launch roadmap that actually works and the practical steps to do it for your own brand. And to demonstrate this method in front of your very eyes, I'm challenging myself to build an actual clothing brand from nothing with my friend Casper. Let me introduce you to the legend. Casper is one of the co-founders of Mertra, a brand that now has over 400,000 Instagram followers. And after exiting the company, he now coaches other brand owners to help them turn a fashion side hustle into their full-time business. So it's safe to say that we're in pretty good hands. And over the next 5 episodes, you're going to see how we approach designing a product, creating marketing content, and host an in-person launch event so you can do the same with your own brand. But first, Casper and I are going to show you a better way to begin that'll attract customers that can't wait to buy from you. And it starts with a good foundation. It's not a design, it's our brand identity. Take a look. So when I think of like creating a clothing brand identity, there's a few like specific brands come to mind just because I think they're perfectly set up for everything going forward, whether it be content creation, designs. First one that comes to mind for me, Nike. Reason being, I think there is a really clear community attached to it where, of course, it's athletes.
Yeah.
And so any content that they make with athletes, simple. The clothing and the designs they make, it's directly derived from that brand identity.
Another brand that we've recently kind of discussed and explored is Maison. Maison, just because, you know, for those who don't know Maison, they basically work with artists on a one-on-one basis, helping to promote their artwork and give them an opportunity to, you know, create their pieces of art on clothing specifically.
When I first think of, okay, what's our community going to be? What's this brand identity or concept for our one going to be? First one that comes to my mind is we could do something with like book lovers. The main attraction for me is like the idea of these people meeting in libraries, reading books together, book club. It's just really fun and wholesome. And I think a lot about that kind of brand attracts me as an identity.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously something that I need to be doing more, reading more books, but there's definitely a little bit of a niche community there, right? So I think building on that, like I'm a big music fan. So if you want to jot down like music to start off with, and I kind of had an idea. I'm lucky enough to be, you know, in a community with creatives and stuff, and I know a few music photographers, and they do some really big shows such as like when Kendrick Lamar comes in town and all of these kind of things. And my idea of what that could look like is, you know, you see so many brand owners start off with doing graphic tees of, you know, rappers or kind of NBA montage kind of collages that they put on a garment. And I think a really cool point of difference would be actually working and collaborating with like music photographers, and instead of it being just like a collage that they've made on like Illustrator, it's actually their works from their live shows of photos they've taken. So putting those on, you know, a tee and giving them a bit of a different platform to promote their work and their art instead of just social media. It would be a warm environment for all parties involved. Do you know what I mean? It's a collaboration, people are excited about them, and then it also gives them a new platform that they've potentially never quite had before.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? The thing that these two have in common is something called the third home. So the third home ideology is that you have home, which is like your first community space.
Yeah.
You know, your family.
Yeah.
Then you have work.
Second space.
Second space. What's the third space? And everyone needs one. And it's really the reason I think in modern day why there's so much loneliness is because people have lost that third space, whether it be a social football club that they do on Monday nights. I was telling you
about this last night. Need to find a third space at the moment just to kind of have that outlet.
Yeah, or for some people it might be a church, or for others it might be the book club that they go to, or the group music of photographers events. Or music events.
Yeah, true.
Let me simplify this for you with a step-by-step system anyone can use to find their brand identity. First, mind map yourself. A question I've heard a lot in the past is, how do I create a brand about a lifestyle I don't live? Well, the short answer is you don't. And brands that go ahead anyway never properly capture it because they don't understand it. So for Casper and I, it was majorly important to create a brand we were genuinely passionate about in a space we actually operated in. And for you, I'd suggest the exact same. But how do you do that? Well, in the middle of your page, write the words, "Who am I?" in a big circle. And then around the edges, write beliefs, mindsets, interests, and communities that you're a part of that make you who you are. Second, circle your favorite ideas. Together, Casper and I had a lot of interests, but in the grand scheme of things, we can only really commit our lives to one or two major ideas. So after we found the commonalities between us, we selected the interests and values that were especially important to us in our lives. Naturally, this was the idea of community building itself, hence why we chose the third home ideology. By the way, do you ever think growing a community for your clothing brand is hard? Well, we made it simple. Casper and I teamed up to create the Superfan Club, an online community helping clothing brands build a cult following. This is a space where you can make friends with other brand owners, ask for help, and get feedback. In fact, both Casper and I interact daily with our members. And as one last crazy bonus, we've added a free list of 99 content ideas for clothing brands that you'll get access to just by joining. You'd think we charge money for all this, but we haven't got that smart yet, so click the link below to join the Superfan Club for free today. Now back to the video. In the same way, ask yourself, which of your big ideas could you commit yourself to happily for the next 10 years? Keyword there is happily. It's not about grind set in this instance. It's there that you'll find a brand that you can't wait to wake up and work on each and every day, and that your customers look forward to buying from. And so now we have this identity, we need something to call this brand.
So immediately, I think it's really important to discuss, like, what do you want the brand to say? And what I mean by that is, name one of your favorite brands that has it finishing in apparel or clothing, something apparel garments. So the reason why I bring that up, all the best brand names in the world, it's not Burberry.clothing, right? It's just Burberry.
Just Burberry.
It's something that's recognizable. It's something that can leave a mark on someone. And what we're going to try and do is do something that has a meaning.
So these are do's and don'ts. And it reminds me of this video by Jonathan Bell. He did a TED talk about how to create a brand name. Have you seen it?
No, what's he say?
Click play.
Okay, so once you've decided what type of name you want, you need to decide what you want the name to say. And look, of course, it's tempting to create names that talk about who created them, or what you do, or where you operate. But the best brand names don't describe. They stand for a big idea, ones that translates into emotional appeal. Nike is about winning. GoPro is about heroism. Apple is about simplicity and usability. And Google comes from the math term. That's a 1 with 100 zeros after it. So that really big number helps support the company's really big original vision to organize the world's information.
Cool. So it's like the brand name is derived from the brand identity, and that's why we do the concept first.
Yeah, I think he mentioned it perfectly there. It's the name. If you can have a name that's derived directly from the vision you're looking to create, that's the sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the next step is creating keywords that symbolize what you're looking to build on. And
right.
If you want to jot some of these down, like immediately what comes to mind with, a third home is something that is kind of safe, something that's kind of familiar.
Even like regulars, or like the idea of like people coming to a place, neighborhood,
yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, cool.
I remember when I was in Spain, something that they had was a plaza, which was the central meeting location. And so you could even think about locations.
For me, it could be like a cafe.
That's a good one.
For me, it could be a certain part of someone's home as like a gathering site,
like a sunroom, or
like what I'm thinking about
kitchen.
Is kitchen. It could be like that barbecue fire space area outside.
What do you
like
even
on
call
a
that?
deck or something like that. But we used to have an attic in my old house.
It's like a fun little cubby house for kids.
You could do attic, and then I guess like building on that is loft.
That's neat. Loft. I like it.
That feels like a safe space to me. Out of all of these, it is definitely the best.
One thing to be careful of if we do use this is it is a real word name, which means if we were going to register it, it'd just be hella expensive and likely to be taken.
Yeah,
so
important for brand name. I know Davey Fogarty mentioned it. It's like, is it trademarkable and is it domainable? And building on that, can you make a social media handle on, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok? I think our loft sounds pretty.
That's definitely the strongest one so far.
I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I think what we do is let's workshop a bunch of other names. If nothing else comes of it,
we'll do that.
That's the one.
Yeah, cool. We kind of just sat down separately for the last 10 minutes. I'll go through some of the things I liked. Maybe we'll build on it. There's a few I immediately reading back don't love, and that's fine. But first of all, I've got Kaya, which is Caya. And what I meant by that is just come as you are.
A good acronym, great way to make a brand name.
And I think I did the acronym because I was typing out come as you are and it was way too long.
One of my favorites was Ren's Table. Ren is just a fictional character that I made up, essentially. We'll see how it shapes up.
Going with table, my second one was actually Seat Saved. I think I really love that narrative of, as you were saying, with that third space, usually that could be a family dinner or, going to a friend's house for dinner and having that spare spot there for anyone that's feeling like they're always welcomed.
Beautiful.
Is something that could be cool.
What is your favorite of your ones?
I actually think of all the other ones, I'll go through them quickly, but I think Kai is still my go-to.
You've already mentioned your top one.
Yeah.
This is my top one out of yours as well.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm liking this, Ren's Table.
And then are we going back to our loft?
I think the strongest one to communicate the brand vision quickly, in my opinion, and just from which one I enjoy the most, I think my vote is on our loft.
Safe. Our loft brand we came up with in 36 hours. You'll see the timestamps. Be ready. Lots of brands get stuck on creating a brand name, or even worse, they start and brainstorm a brand name that doesn't align with their brand identity. So here's a simple step-by-step method for naming. So the first thing you're going to do is just basically list off keywords that, represent the brand and what you're looking to create. So for us, that was regular, that was familiarity, that was a third home itself. Next, you want to brainstorm, a list of concepts and phrases that directly relate and suit your brand as well. Number 3, a lot of people might not like this, but if you are truly struggling with coming up with an idea, put these keywords into something like ChatGPT or an AI of some sorts. I'm not saying to utilize everything it just brainstorms for you, but you might get some inspiration that you haven't found otherwise. Number 4, we actually put this stuff into ChatGPT and it gave us the keyword loft, and we immediately took a liking to it because the term loft, really represented an environment that made sense with the third home concept. So basically for, the next step, coming up with a brand name is probably the most integral thing you can do and brainstorm at the start. It is literally how people recognize you, and it is essentially the legacy you're looking to be creating. So when coming up with a brand name, it's super important to just don't pick the first or second one that sounds good to you. This process could take a matter of months. Once you've come up with a brand name, for example, our loft, a really good added next step is make sure that the social media handles are available. Go on Instagram and TikTok. See if there's anything suitable that represents your brand name as well. It's important to remember that a lot of brands fail in this step because they know what their brand name is, but they don't exactly know who they are selling to. So this next part is going to make it clear on how to find your target customer. What are the main things that you see brands get wrong with customer avatars that you don't want to make in our brand? I think when, going through customer avatars, everyone goes what's your ideal target customer? Getting an understanding of who you're selling to, and that's really, really important. But I think some of the key kind of non-negotiables that could be missed is, one, they're not specific enough. So there's a lot of assumptions made. So by doing that, it's just actually talk to the people. Something I see too is they, in line with being too vague, they only talk about demographics. So age, gender, marital, 18 to 30 and love streetwear. Yeah, which is not
at all in line with any kind of overarching branding, that's a business, not a brand.
Yeah.
And it doesn't target anyone. It's the classic phrase, if you go for everyone, you'll target no one. So when I'm wanting to do the customer avatars for this brand, I just think we should choose like a real person that actually embodies, like, who actually builds communities, who actually has a third home of some kind.
Who's in it.
Who's just doing it, and we just base it around them.
Cool, let's do it.
So one person that comes to mind for me, his name is Harry.
Friend.
He's a friend. He's a good friend. Harry, he'd probably, like, he'd fit in that 18 to 25. He really enjoys basketball, a bit like you, Casper.
Yeah, I'm no good.
And he does, like, I know he does, like, some kind of social basketball on Monday nights. That's the, like, the main thing that aligns. He also does like fantasy football, and like another one of his like third homes is gonna be church as well. Mm-hmm. So this is why, like, you can see he really embodies this brand identity that we're putting together. I think another important thing to put down for creating customer avatars is, even if you don't know exactly what they are, read between the lines with the people that we pick, and just to understand what are some of their goals or fears when it comes to what they want in life, what's important to them, what they believe in.
With goals and fears, would you say, what's the best step of finding out their goals and fears?
You can literally just talk to them.
Yeah.
And even if they don't say exactly, my goal is this, having spoken to them, I can understand about Harry that one of his goals is to, you know, keep strong friendships. Mm-hmm. And you can, like, even you, not, I mean, you don't know Harry, but understanding the kind of person that we're targeting, I mean, I'm sure you can add something to do with this in terms of, like, the kind of beliefs or the things that a person like this might be.
I would say, just from saying, like, basketball and, you know, that church community, it's just staying active, you know, in building, I guess, those relationships further, but being maybe a friendship that can be trusted.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe being reliable for those that are his loved ones or the ones he cares about most.
Yeah. I think that directly relates to his fears as well. The opposite is maybe
not being there for them.
Not being there for his loved ones. Yeah. It's starting to get like a really clear idea of the type of person we want to target. And I think this is a good starting point for the kind of clothes that we make, the kind of content we make. The good news with this customer avatar is that I knew Harry well enough to write down some information, but if you find yourself in a different situation where the person you're choosing is a peer or a friend of a friend, you might want to just actually give them a call and ask them some simple questions to get to know enough information to write it down on a piece of paper. It's always better to be safe than sorry. But Harry isn't your customer, so let me show you how to create your own avatar so you can become the go-to brand in your community. And I would start by picking someone you could see wearing your brand. Now, most people overcomplicate it by trying to invent a customer from their imagination, but more times than not, that customer is exactly that, from our imagination. So a better way is to pick someone you already know. This is going to make it so much easier for you when we get to the details in the next steps. And one other word of advice, I would avoid picking celebrities that you don't know in person. And the reason for this is because although you may know their on-screen persona, the subtleties that make your avatars interesting and unique aren't obvious unless you walk day to day with a person. So it's better to just stick with friends or family. And now we need 6 different types of information about your avatar, starting with demographics. And this is just a fancy word for the basics: their name, age, gender, location, and income level. Be as specific as possible. But many brands stop here, never going deeper than the surface. But not you, because you paid attention to the next information type: interests. For Casper and my brand, Our Loft, customers liked going to cafes, playing social basketball, or going to church. So just ask yourself what your target customer likes to do in their free time. And even though you're tempted, avoid saying fashion. Although it might be a genuine interest, answers like that are going to get you stuck dropshipping products, not building communities around a unique idea. Third, psychographics. Now it's getting fun. By definition, psychographics are your customers' attitudes, beliefs, or values. For our brand, our customers believed in romanticizing community and seeking regular connection beyond DMs. 4, goals. We went as specific as keeping strong friendships after high school or building a creative business with meaning. And I suggest you do too. Explore what your target wants to do in life, both in the short and long term. one. And the next major piece of information to add to the list is fears, which literally could be the opposite of their goals. At least ours were. We said things like outgrowing his friend circle or having no one to do life with. And finally, buying behaviors. Is your most loyal customer likely to buy in person or at a pop-up? Do they value limited quantity releases or products that are always available? Spend less on more or more on less? These are the ideas worth considering that will likely motivate how you're going to run things going forward. And put it all together and you got a crystal clear customer avatar that I would be proud of. But knowing who is wearing a product by itself isn't enough to sell the lifestyle. Next, you have to figure out where your product is worn, and this is called your brand world, and it means the difference between an unengaged audience and a cult-like community. So let me show you how Casper and I create one for our own brand. So I think it's really important with a brand like this to have a good understanding of where does the brand exist, what's the brand world, as some people call it, where the kind of places that people might be wearing these garments.
I think immediately it was my first example when building on a third home, and also like the other brand idea, and I think music specifically.
Yeah.
I think what you'll see here is just, someone setting up, you've got someone walking by, it might look like super complex and everything like that, but everyone's just going to be vibing there eventually, right? I've got next, no one's involved, but it's showing that visual appeal of potentially what we're looking to create. And that's just, people gathering for food. Obviously, they're in nature as well. So
this is great. This becomes a basis for the kind of campaigns we'll make, content we'll create.
Yeah, that's
we can
three
do
photo shoots right there.
3 or 4 different photo shoots that we could do in different locations.
One of the things is, just actually remember that starting a brand is visual. It's about aesthetics. It's about your visual identity. So
true.
Print it all out, actually see it, and continue to view it, hang it up somewhere.
I think like this example is a really great one for me for emotion.
Sick.
Because yours one's like maybe this one about with the chest, you do see some people.
That says a lot more about emotion, and my mind goes to like safe.
Yeah.
Safety.
That was one of our key words from before.
And like they just look so safe in each other's arms.
That's so good. And it's very similar to probably this image as well, which has a similar kind of vibe.
Sick.
And then finally this one, which is probably like this, like we got a cafe scene here. We have this scene of the cafe that's very full of people. And then we have this one where we have the evidence of people, but we don't actually see them and it's empty. But still it speaks of so much connectivity. So how can a scene be empty and still have that idea of togetherness in it? I think that's a very creative way. That's a more obvious way. And we can use both in our photo shoots. Even having tabletops that are like
set out, layout, knowing people have already been there and
empty plates, crumbs. And this is, I think you don't really realize the nuance of the idea until we lay it out in a brand world like this.
Look, you might watch this and say, those hand sketch designs aren't what I'm looking to create. What am I meant to do when it comes to mood boarding? And this is the breakdown of the easiest way for you to start for your brand. First of all, search up defining keywords. A good number to kind of hit and jot down and brainstorm is around 20. So giving an example of what those keywords might look specifically to your brand, in reference of what we're creating, I was searching things up such as cafe, open spaces, coffee. A program that's really, quite easy for you to do your mood boarding on directly with really good inspiration is Pinterest. And instead of just saving all Pinterest photos you ever see, you can actually create subfolders for, the visual elements of the environment you're looking to create. So when you're scrolling on Pinterest, take the time in doing this and do this over probably a number of weeks and a number of months, because your brand is going to develop the longer you work on it as well. Now let's move on to campaign concept. A way that you can kind of brainstorm and plan for a campaign concept is, what emotions do you want to kind of be felt in that moment? Obviously, some that we've kind of discussed already might be joy, excitement.
I think fullness. That's a good one. Just like that feeling when you walk away from like good friends, good conversations, you just feel full.
Humans are, emotional beings. So when brainstorming these things, it can really like connect with people in a deeper way than if you don't kind of go through this step.
Yes, Absolutely. Another way to connect each of our campaigns together could be with different specific communities or clubs.
Yeah, I think that works really well with what we're doing, eh?
So each different campaign or each release could be around this fictional group that we make, or this specific third home, and then the people that gather there.
So many.
There's so many.
There's genuinely so many here.
What are some that come to your mind?
You know, cafe, specifically sport.
Sport.
You know, sport that might be specifically a run club or basketball, similar to the cut.
Another one that does come to mind is like chess, just because, like, you know, you see those like chess boards in the city, or something like that. Like that could be a whole group. I just imagine there's like a whole group of guys that just meet around chess.
I think clubs ends up, you could do like a jazz bar, or something like that, tying into kind of the musical reference images that we had created.
Which one most resonates with you personally?
I think cafe is probably what I'd want to prioritize. Are you happy to do that?
I think that's a good one because of those two as well. I think our common one would probably be cafe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean our whole brand's about cafe. It's just
I just see it being this campaign.
Momentarily, right? For one release, for one campaign, and that'll inspire the kind of designs we make as well. So even if we don't actually have a cafe club, let's just like make a fake group of fictional individuals as if we were just making a story up, and then I think that'll help us then with the designs, with, you know, marketing materials and everything else.
Cool.
So I imagine we have our customer avatar, Harry. Harry's a person that's quite busy. He's got lots of different friends. And so I think like the first idea that comes to my mind is that like Harry and his friends, instead of just like meeting together one-on-one at cafes because they're all so busy, he just like turns around one day to his buddies and says, why don't we just do this at like one of our houses Saturday morning, and we all meet same place, same time every single week, and that becomes their third home.
Yeah.
You could call it like Saturday coffee club. What if we went back to one of our keywords to do with like the places, like where we had plaza, we had loft, we put kitchen down. What if it was something like kitchen coffee club?
Can always come back if we don't, but
so I think with all these elements together, we've got the brand identity, we've got really clear customer avatars, and then we've even turned that into a brand concept. This makes me feel really confident if we're to do a first drop for something that's very story focused. It's going to build a clear community around it that actually loves the brand and that can get involved.
This gives us a lot of direction for designs, and it's just going to make our lives easier, to be honest. So time for us to cook.
Let's do it, bro.
Let's cook. How to create a brand concept. I cannot stress this enough. Please do not skip this stage, and please do not rush this stage. And basically, what is a brand concept? And it's creating meaning and an emotional connection with what you're going to be doing in your first campaign. So a lot of people in this stage is like, great, I've got a brand name, I've got to start designing. But what's more important is think about the long-term game. What legacy are you trying to create? How are you going to potentially get there? And how can you get people to become invested in your brand from the very get-go so they become loyal fans for the indefinite future? So this is the exact steps of how we built ours so you can follow along. Step number one is, what is the scene? So for example, if you're starting an athletics brand, it's probably going to be around a running track, for example. Step number two is who's there. And what I mean by this is like make it as specific as possible and directly talk to your ideal customer persona and know everything about them. Step number three, what is the vibe? Is the environment warm? Is it approachable? Do people feel like a level of comfort when they come into this environment? And number four, what is it exactly that they are doing? So for us, it might seem super laid back, but that's the whole point of what we're looking to create, a super safe space where people feel comfortable, they're catching up and debriefing what's happened in that last week. And if you combine all of these things together, this is going to be the direct foundation of what you need to create an ideal video campaign.
Now you've seen how we turn our brand identity into a specific campaign and the practical steps to do it for yourself. But if you don't create a product worth buying, it'll all fall apart. So watch part 2 of Casper and I creating this brand, where we'll show you how to develop a product that's guaranteed to sell. And the good news is that you don't have to do it in 36 hours like we did. Yep. And I'd be lying if I said everything went according to the plan. But you're just gonna have to see for yourself, so click the video on screen now.